Hello students, how are you doing? I hope you are staying safe and responsible. In our last class, we are able to look at trade union. We are able to look at trade union. We look at the weapons they use in achieving the objectives, and we looked at their functions, and we looked at why we have differences in wages. I hope you understood that topic very well. Today, I'm still going to take you on economics, but the topic we'll be treating today is what? Distributive trade. It's a very simple or popular topic. We are going to be looking at distributive trade. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to explain the meaning or channel of what? Distribution, and the channel of what? Distribution. You will explain the meaning of distributive trade, the channel of distribution. Secondly, you study the functions of the wholesalers and the what? Retailers. Then you outline the problems of distribution and marketing of what? Commodities. What are those problems they encounter? Then finally, you state the arguments against the existence of the what? Middlemen. These are the objectives we are going to achieve. The meaning, the functions of the wholesalers and the retailers, the problems of distribution and marketing of commodities, then the arguments against the existence of the words middlemen. Now let's look at the meaning of distribution. The meaning of distribution of goods. Distribution of goods is a process of making goods available to the final consumer. That's what we call distribution. Yeah, the process of making goods available to the final consumers. How about Ugona? I know that you are listening to me. When you want to get or buy biscuits, what happens? There is what? Before that good will get to you, it will do what? There must be what? Distribution. So it will pass through the producer, moving down to the what? Through the middleman before it will get you. So that process of making those goods available to you is what we call what? Distribution of goods. Now let's look at the illustration of the normal chain of what? Distribution. Illustration of the normal chain of what? Distribution. You know that goods are transferred from the manufacturer, or you call him the wholesaler, that is the person that produced the goods, to the wholesaler. If you look at your screen very well, you can see the arrow. The producer will produce the goods. It will now pass to the what? Wholesalers, who will buy in large quantities. Then it will move down to the what? Retailers. And finally what? To the final consumer. Finally to the what? Final what? Consumer. So goods are transferred from the producer or manufacturer to the wholesaler, who in turn transfers the goods to the what? Retailer, and from the retailer to the what? Final consumer. This is what we call what? Chain of distribution. It must pass through the producer, then the wholesalers, the retailers, and the what? Rest of them. You can see it very well on your screen. You can see it on your screen. Then who is a wholesaler? This man they call wholesaler. He's the trader who buys goods in large quantity from the manufacturer and sell in small quantity to the what? Retailer. You know, the wholesaler. Now, who can give you an example of the producer before we go to the wholesaler? Who can give us the example of producer in this nation? In this nation. Let me use the popular man that you know. You know Dangote? He is the what? Producer. You know Circular Paint? He's the what? Circular. He's the one that produces what? Circular Paint. He's the producer. So when you talk about the wholesaler, this wholesaler is the trader who will now go to Dangote or to surplus. He will now buy those goods in large quantity from them and sell in small quantity to the what? Retailer. So the wholesaler is the trader who buys goods from in large quantity from the manufacturer and sell in small quantity to the what? Retailer. So this particular man will go to Dangote, he will buy the goods and he will not sell in small quantity to what? Another retailer. Now, what are the functions of these wholesalers? What are the functions of the wholesaler? Now we have the first one, bulk breaking of goods. Bulk breaking of goods. Chima Jupadin. Bulk what? Breaking of what? Goods. So you see that this wholesaler will buy goods in bulk and he will break it in small units for the what? Retailer. He will go to Dangote, he will buy 1 trailer of spaghetti. He will do what? He will come back and he will sell it to that retailer. That retailer, Auntie Doris or some other person, in what? In small what? Units. He will sell it in small units to them. So he will buy in trailers and he will sell it in small units to the what? To the retailers. Now we have the second one. We have provision of warehousing, or you call it storage facilities. Provision of warehousing, or you call it what? Storage facilities. So this man, the wholesaler, what will he do? Can you just think of what he will do? How he provides warehousing or storage facilities. He will buy these goods and he will store these large quantities of goods in his shop. This will now give the manufacturer or the what? Producer, to give him more rooms to produce more goods and what? Services. To produce more goods. So if this wholesaler will buy goods from the producer, the producer will now have enough space in his store to produce what? More goods. So there is no need of producing more goods if the goods the producer produce is still in the store. So the wholesaler will help the what? The producer by providing storage facilities as he do what? Buy his what? Products. Now we have the next one. Provision of what? Finance. Provision of finance. Someone will say, how can this wholesaler that is not up to the level of Dangote provide finance to Dangote? Now how will he do that? He will finance the producers by making prompt payments. He will make prompt what? Payment on the goods they want to buy. That is how they do what? They finance the producers. Do you know they also finance the retailers? They finance the producers by making prompt payments or paying in advance before they will bring the goods. And for the retailer, they finance them by selling goods to them on credits. He finances them by selling goods to them on credit. Now he prepares the products for sale. He prepares the product for sale. This he does by putting finishing touches to the goods like packaging, grading, blending, and branding of those goods. So this wholesaler will do what? He will purchase the goods. He will now put finishing touches. He will go to, let's still use that Dangote. What happens? This man will go and buy a bag of rice from Dangote or a bag of sugar from Dangote. What will he do? He will now reduce it. He will now package it, reduce the quantity. He can divide it in bags, in half bags, quarter bags, and the rest of that. He will now reduce it and do what? Offer to people, to the retailers for sale. So he will put finishing touches to those products. Now we have the next one. They provide what? Information. They provide what? Information. So this wholesaler, what does he do? He will give information to the products which may concern what? Changes in taste, fashions, defect found in certain products. So you see this one, that is called the wholesaler. If he buy the goods from the producers may not really notice the effects or notice the defects, the taste, the functions invoke. So these consumers will give information to the retailer will now give information to the wholesaler. This wholesaler, who has direct link to the producer, will now do what? Pass the information about the taste. The taste of this product is not good, it is out of fashion, it has fault. So these are the things he does. He will do what? He will give information he got from the retailers and pass it to the what? To the producers. Now let's look at the second man in the middleman. We have the retailer. The retailer is the trader. He buys goods in small quantities from the wholesalers. And sell in bits to the what? Final consumers. He buys goods in small quantities from the wholesalers and he sell in bits to the what? Final consumers. You may see this particular man, he will go to the wholesaler, he will buy different cartons of, let's say, biscuit, he will buy Oxford, he will buy crackers, he will buy this, he will buy the other one, so many biscuits and the rest of them. He will buy them and he will do what? Sell it to the final consumer. So the final consumer may want one packet of biscuits he will buy, he would want this, he will buy. So that is what he does. He will buy goods in large quantities from the wholesalers and he will sell in bits to the what? Final consumers. Now, what are the functions of this man? Do you know what he does? He stock varieties of what? Goods. That is why the consumer will now go to the Alozi, have you ever gone to the market? You will now see varieties of goods. If you go to Aba in Abia State, Abia State, you will see varieties of what? Goods. If you want wears, female wears, go there. You will see assorted. You will see the one made in Aba. You will see the one made in UK. You will see the one made in US. Different, assorted. He will give you varieties of goods. The wholesaler, the retailer, he will stock different goods which will be able to do what? In order to satisfy the taste of the what? Consumer. He will give you different goods. He will stock it, different varieties. Do you want rubber shoe? Do you want leather sandals? Do you want this? Do you want this? You will just get it. The retailer will do what? Stock it for you. Now we have another one. They give credit facilities to consumers. How will they give credit facilities to consumers? The consumer may not have money to buy goods. What will happen? He will now do what? Sell those goods to him in what? On credit. He will sell it to them on credit. He will now do what? Buy and pay at the what? Agreed time. And this one will sell on trust. If you be able to do what? Pay back. Now the retailer again, they provide what we call after sale services. After sale services. So you help to install goods that require what? Expertise. He will help to do what? Install those goods at the consumer's residence or office. Have you ever gone to the market? You are buying a product, you don't know how to use it, you don't know how to install it. This retailer, he has information on those products. What will happen? The retailer will follow you to your house or to your office or to your residence, anywhere, and he will do what? Install those goods. He will help you to deliver those goods. He will help you to also install it if it is what? Necessary. I think some of you will experience it. You follow your parents to the market after buying bulk goods. What will happen? The man will say, help him and carry it to this place. Help him and deliver the goods. Help him, and that's the work of the what? Retailer. Now we have another one. He brings goods nearer to the what? Consumer. He brings goods nearer to the what? Consumer. Where is the head office of? You know that we have some head offices of the producers in what? Lagos. So a consumer that wants to buy a product that does not worth up to 500 naira will not transport itself to what? Lagos to buy those goods. Now it is the work of this retailer to bring these goods nearer to the what? Consumer. At times you see people supplying goods to you at your doorsteps. Have you stayed like this and you see someone carrying goods around, and he will bring the goods what? To your doorstep. So that is work of the retailer. He will bring those goods where it will be convenient for you, especially at your doorstep. And the last one is that he gives advice or information to the what? Wholesalers and producers. He gives advice or information to the wholesaler and what? Producers. Now, how does he get this information? He will receive information from the consumer, and he will pass the information to the wholesaler, and the wholesaler in turn will supply these goods, will supply the information to the what? To the producers or the manufacturer. He will give them information on the taste, on the fashion, and everything that concerns the what? The product. At times you will buy some products, and it happens that if it is, let's say for instance, biscuits, you see that some of those biscuits, they are burnt. If it is soap, you see that some of those soap, they are what? They are hard to use. So in this case, the consumer will complain to the retailer will now pass the information to the wholesaler, and the wholesaler will pass the information to the what? To the manufacturer, and the manufacturer will now take note of this information in order to do what? Satisfy the consumer by making good products the next time. I hope you are following me. Chimajupadin. You are getting what I'm saying? Yes. Okay, now let's look at the middlemen. Middlemen. You'll be hearing about middlemen. Who are these middlemen? Is it the men that stand in the middle, or the men that does what? So let's look at it. They are the middlemen. This refers to the person who bridges the gap between the producer and the what? Consumer in the chain of distribution. The person that bridges the gap between the producer and the what? Consumer. So anybody you see that if he did not go directly to do what? Buy the product from the consumer, whoever that sell that product to you is called what? Middleman or the middleman. Any product you did not buy directly from the producer, anybody that is selling that product to you is called the what? The middleman. And these middlemen, they include the wholesaler, they include the what? Retailer. Any of them, they are in the what? Middle. They bridge the gap between the wholesalers and the retailer. Now, what is the argument against the existence of these middlemen? You know that these middlemen, yes, they have to deliver the goods to the consumers. Now, what is the argument against their existence? Can you tell me what these middlemen they do? Yes. Think of what these middlemen they do. Yes, Ugonna. Think, can you just look around your streets, look around your church, look around anywhere you go. Can you visualize the middlemen? Yes. Are you seeing some of them? I hope you can see some of them. Now, what is it that they do that you don't like? These middlemen. The argument against them. Now we have the first one, the hot goods. The hot goods, or you can call it, they create artificial what? Scarcity of goods. Even when the demand is high, they will hoard the goods in order to do what? Earn higher prices. You know, when you hoard goods, what happens? 50 persons may want to buy a product now, and you see the middleman, he's with the goods, he's hoarding the goods. He will create queue. People will not queue. He will not do what? He will lift the price up. He wants to make money. Despite that people are demanding for those products, he will create artificial what? Scarcity. He will hoard the goods in order to do what? Make money. This is one of the reasons why people argue against the existence of middlemen. They say, why not allow us to meet the producers? Why not allow us to do this? That is what they do. Now the second one, they increase the price of what? Goods. You know, now if you go to the producer, definitely the price of the product will not be the same when you buy from the what? Middlemen. Check it now. You go to Onitsha main market, you buy some products. Then if you come back, let's say you are living in Omaya and you want to buy that product, it will not be the same price. They increase what? Price of goods. But it's not their fault. So, do you know? It's not their fault, the increase in price. Do you know why? They add their own cost of distribution. Now check the transportation money they spend and other things they do in order to do what? Bring those goods nearer to you. That is why there will be what? Increase in price. So people, they argue the existence of what? The middlemen, because they increase the price of goods and services. Oh, some of you are not in school. You say, the top shop man, she's selling things at high price. Yes, she will sell it at high price because she will include her own cost of what? Distribution. She will pay transportation, go and buy it and come back. So that will make the price of those goods to do what? Rise. So if you want to buy it that way, you meet the producer, then you spend your own what? Transportation cost. So now most times they give wrong information to the what? Consumers. Most times they give wrong information or misleading what? Information to the consumers. That's what they do. At times they will not get the correct information. These middlemen, they will not pass it to the what? Consumer. The product may say use 3 times a day, and the middleman may come and say use 5 times in a day. You see that they have misled the words, the consumers. They will give the wrong information. They have misled the words, consumers. And you see that they have given the wrong information, which those goods may be harmful for what? To them. So it may be very, very harmful. Now we have the next one. It leads to disguised unemployment. You know, you have unemployment is a situation whereby the person who is willing to work cannot find work. Now, the type of unemployment we call disguise, it occurs when most of these people are what? Underemployed. That is, you see a graduate that's read medicine and surgery in the university that should be working in the hospital, you see him distributing or selling touch on the streets. That is what we call what? Underemployment. That is what we call disguised unemployment. This person is underemployed. And this is why you see most of those middlemen. Most of them are graduates. You see them what? Selling goods. They are underemployed. So this medical doctor that should be working in the hospital is busy carrying what? Touch along the street. That is unemployment. You call it disguised unemployment because he's underemployed. And most of them will be competing for few customers. You see one customer, five middlemen will be dragging. This is my customer. This is my customer. This is my customer. That is disguised what? Unemployment. Now we have the next one, tax evasion. Remember that I told you when we are learning tax evasion, many of them will avoid paying of what? Tax. Despite they make money, they will run away from what? Paying tax. Despite they make what? Much money, or they will falsifying what? Their accounts to pay less. Finally, let's look at the problems of distribution and marketing of commodities. What are the problems they encounter? What are the problems of distribution and marketing of commodities? Now we have what? Low demand for commodities. We have low demand for what? Commodities. A situation whereby people are not requesting more of your product. What will happen? It will now make you not to do what? Distribute those goods. It's not the goods they demand that you can do what? Distribute. If people are not demanding more of those goods, it will not, there is no need for what? Distribution. Now we have the next one, hoarding of what? Goods. Hoarding of goods. If there is artificial scarcity of what? Of goods. If they hoard goods, there's no need for distribution. There is no need. Goods are meant to produce and it will get to the what? Final consumer. Where you hoard the goods, you create artificial scarcity. There's no need for what? Distribution. We have poor transportation system. If you check very well the roads we have in this nation, it is very, very what? Bad. We have bad roads, potholes. We have potholes. You have the one that erosion, gully erosion have divided the roads. When you get to a particular place, you have to trek and move. So we have poor transportation system. It's a problem. Now, this poor transportation system will lead to goods. The goods will spoil. It will lead to increase in the transportation fare. So for you to travel from this place to purchase a product, you pay high money. And when they come back, it will be reflected in the price of goods and what? Services, which will make the consumer to suffer. So poor transportation system, the government should do justice to this by doing what? Constructing more roads, at least maintaining the ones that have been what? Constructed. Now we have inadequate storage or warehousing facilities. Inadequate storage or warehousing what? Facilities. You have something like silos, barns, and the rest of them. If we don't have such, how can you produce more? How can you distribute? If you have enough space to store the goods you have, there is need for what? Distribution. There will be no problem. Now we have another one, large number of middlemen. Large number of middlemen, you see them, many middlemen in the what? Channel of distribution. You see that before the goods will pass through all of them, there will be what? Delay. There will be delay for it to pass through the wholesaler, pass through the retailer, and the rest of them to get the what? Final consumer. Finally, we have inadequate credit facilities. What do you mean by credit facilities? Norma, what do you mean by credit facilities? Inadequate credit facilities is a situation whereby there is no money for them to produce goods in what? Large. How can you distribute goods that is not worth much? You distribute goods that you produce in what? Large quantity. Like the commercial farmers. If you're a subsistence farmer, how can you distribute the goods? You just produce and you consume. So inadequate credit facilities will make them not to produce more, and this will hinder distribution and marketing of what? Commodities. This will hinder the distribution and marketing of commodities. So far, so good. We've been able to treat distributive trades. We've been able to treat distributive trades. We look at the channels of distribution. We looked at the wholesalers and the retailers, their functions, and we looked at the problems of distribution. We looked at the middlemen. Now, take this as your assignment. You have to study the differences between the wholesalers and the retailers, and you give the reason, despite the argument against the wholesalers, against the middlemen. Why do you think they should still be in existence? Is there any benefit you derive from them, despite the increased price, despite the hot goods, despite they don't pay tax? When you are paying tax, they are not paying tax, they are making money. Why do you think they should still be in existence? Thank you. Remain safe and responsible.